Good morning, everyone. It's a wild and windy day here in Edinburgh. You might hear the sounds of the gusts whirling around this sunroom. I hope that you are doing fine wherever you are, and I hope that the future will slowly shape in the right direction amidst all these uncertainties. Now, as we know, the Bible is full of stories of adventure and also occasionally of romance. Ruth is a story of romance. Perhaps Jane Austen took a leaf out of the book of Ruth when she created the characters of Marianne Dashwood and Colonel Brandon in Sense and Sensibility. I remember Mrs. Jenner saying of them, "An excellent match, for he is rich and she is handsome." We have something along the same lines developing here. We've already been introduced to Ruth and discovered something of her strength of character. Now we are introduced to Boaz. He is described as a man of repute, a man of substance, a gentleman farmer, and also a family connection of Naomi's or of Elimelech's, a distant relative. He is perhaps the only person who is in a position to help these two destitute women. Now Ruth, with her usual initiative and gumption, thinks, we are going to need to find food, and also we're going to need to find this relative who may be in a position to help us. And so off she sets, and by chance or by happenstance, she finds herself in one of Boaz's fields. She's there to glean. Now, this was something which was done by foreigners and by the dispossessed and by those who were especially poor and destitute. It meant that at harvest time they were able to go round behind the ordinary workers and gather up the leftovers. This was a right according to Israelite law, but Ruth didn't take it for granted. She spoke to the foreman and she said, "Do you mind if I come and gather up the leftovers in this field?" And that's what she did. She was very vulnerable. She had no provider or protector, and she, being a foreign girl, could have been subject to abuse from some of the unruly elements within the town. But she worked hard all morning, and at last Boaz arrived in the field. He had come from town. And we hear the greetings, "The Lord bless you, the Lord be with you." It's almost as if we were perhaps in an Amish community somewhere in Pennsylvania, an agricultural community. Boaz notices the girl and asks about her, and the foreman explains, well, she asked if she could work, and she's been going at it, hammer and tongs, since she arrived. And Boaz realizes this is Ruth, the girl who he had heard good reports of. Now, he is an older man, she is a younger woman. He is a rich man, she is a poor woman. He is powerful, she is powerless. But immediately, he comes to her aid and her help. He gives her assurance and confidence, and he says, "You're welcome to glean here, stay in this field, remain beside the young women. The young men are not going to bother you. In fact, they'll draw water for you and you can drink from it." So she is given assurances. And also he says of her, "May the Lord recompense you, and may you receive a full reward from the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." What beautiful words. And he does all that is required of a person in a position of power for her and for Naomi. But interestingly, he goes beyond this. Perhaps Ruth has caught his eye. Who knows the way of the human heart? But he says, now at lunchtime, come and have some bread and a drink of wine. And what's more, I'll speak to my girls so that they're specially considerate to you and leave extra bundles of barley in the way. At the end of the day, Ruth goes home with bundles of barley, but also with bundles of news to Naomi. They have food and they have conversation. Way up in the north of Scotland, we have barley. Barley grows where wheat will not grow. They use barley, of course, to make whiskey, but also to make bare meal bannocks in the north of Scotland. And many's a little croft or farm I've sat in and enjoyed bannocks and honey. Perhaps that's what they had that evening. And Ruth was feeling satisfied with the day, and Naomi was thinking, now I wonder if there's some possibility of matchmaking here. It's an unusual relationship, but who knows? And so we have the beginnings of romance and possibility emerging. Romance of what is going to be a marriage made in heaven. And we'll hear more of that next time. Bye for now.